After the initial shock of a sudden layoff wears off, which many people are going through right now, you may be left thinking, what next? You may be feeling things like uncertainty, fear, maybe even paralysis. And it's been about 1 month since my own layoff, so I've had some time to process things. And today I wanted to make this video to share 3 immediate practical things that you can do after a layoff to set yourself up for success or to set yourself up for your next gig. The first and foremost thing that I really recommend you doing that I heavily regret not doing is reflection. And I'm not just talking about looking into the past and remembering the fun and bad memories. No. It's actually something really practical. And let me share with you kind of the context of why I think this is important. Transparently, I'm not currently actively looking for a new job. I just feel like I need a bit of time to reprioritize before moving on to something entirely new. But I am keeping my options open, and one of the recruiters that have been in my email was working for a company that I am pretty interested in. I think they have a really cool product. So I just thought I'd take a casual call. He introduced himself. He taught me about the role, about the company, the business, as well as he asked me to share, some of my background knowledge as well as my experiences. And this is where I felt like, oh shoot, I made a mistake. I had not prepared an ounce for this call because again, it was very low stakes for me. And when it came down to sharing my successes, my experiences on how they might potentially be relevant to the role that this person was hiring for, I almost completely went blank because it hadn't even been that long since I had been doing my job, but I just have been filled with so many other things in my head that I just didn't take time to accurately reflect. So the call went fine. I don't think I'll be moving forward just because, again, I'm not ready. But I came out of the call thinking, what if this was a call that was important? So when I say take some time to reflect, I want you to take 30 minutes to an hour to sit down and look at all of your past accomplishments at the role you were just at. The chances are you had lost suddenly all the access to the information about yourself, your work, your metrics that you have achieved. Personally for me, for performance reviews, I always keep like a log in my email or my notes of like things that I have accomplished so that I can talk about in my performance review, but all that is gone. So the reason why it is so important to be intentional about taking this time to reflect is so that you can set yourself up for success for future recruiter calls, for future interviews, even self-branding if you start freelancing or anything like that. And if you don't take the time to get those stories straight in your head, you're gonna be quite clumsy going back into the recruitment process. And just remember that right now, for example, if you're in the tech industry, more than 50,000 people have been laid off from top, companies in the industry. So you're going to be competing against all these other people for the same roles. So you want to make sure that you stand out. You want to make sure that you accurately remember and are able to reflect all the accomplishments that you have done at your previous job. Second is reconnecting with people. And I really want you to think about this in a practical sense and make sure you make the damn effort because it is important. It is one of the easiest things that you can do to open yourself up to new opportunities. What I mean by reconnecting specifically is something that I've done, which is reach out to people via, personal messages, or I like to use LinkedIn. So over the past year, since people have been laid off at various companies, I've made an effort to make sure I reach out to the people that I care about in those companies, asking them how they're doing, if they're okay, if there's anything that I can do. And this is important for 2 different reasons. The first one is if you have been personally laid off, I'm sure that it has been tough on you. And just by reconnecting with people, it reassures you that first of all, you're not alone and that you also have a community that you can, mutually benefit from by supporting each other. The second part, obviously, is more of a practical perspective. I have received so many messages from people that not only I have reached out to, but even other people, when they heard the news of my company's layoff, asking me if they could write me a recommendation, if they could refer me to their company, asking me what they can do to support me in my time of my layoff. So I really felt that by doing this active like reconnecting with people was so important. And had I been right now looking for a job, I would have so many doors that I could knock on at this moment. Something to highlight is LinkedIn right now is like, you know, that old version of Facebook, if you are around, if you're a millennial like me or even older, where every person's activity on LinkedIn of your connections is seen. People's posts that you comment on, things that you liked, things that you've shared, you know, posts that you share on your own. The visibility is so high that even one of my really, you know, big posts that I made got 13,000 views and engagement. So the visibility of everything right now is so extremely high on LinkedIn, and you should absolutely utilize that to your advantage. This is so low stakes, guys. Just do it. And I know maybe some of you might be thinking, well, isn't this very transactional to reach out to people or support people in public to expect something in return? But to be honest, if you're thinking that way, I'm sorry, because it's not that way if you don't intend it to be. I reached out to people with true intention of wanting to support them and empathize with them. And I think because of that, people have returned the favor to me without me expecting anything. So it won't be transactional unless you make it to be. You have to remember that so many people are in the same boat right now, that the community right now is extremely strong. I mean, there's even a Slack channel for my company's laid off colleagues that's huge. It's like thousands of people, which is crazy, right? Do not let this opportunity go to waste. Reach out to people, reconnect with people, and I guarantee you, you will plant so many seeds that may become fruitful in the medium to long term. The third thing that you should do, and I intentionally put this as third, and I'll tell you why, is reprioritizing the next thing that you want to do in your life. Being laid off is shitty. I'm gonna say it. It's pretty shitty. But it's also an opportunity for you to redirect yourself, as well as really like reevaluate what you want to do next. I know that not everybody is in the situation of being able to just think about the next thing. You may have visa issues that you're worried about. You may have a family that you're taking care of financially, all those different things. But I urge you to think, do you want to work for another corporation? Do you really want to jump into another company that could just lay you off the same way that you've been laid off today? What would make you feel excited to wake up tomorrow? I'm not going to sit here and tell you and be naive and say, turn your passions into money. You know, it's not that easy, and I don't even know if that's good practical advice. I don't know if people are still saying that. But this is a true opportunity for you to really take a step back and think, I've been running a marathon, like sprinting a marathon for a year, maybe even years or decades. It's time to stop and look around and say, okay, which road do I want to take next? Don't jump right into something and put yourself on autopilot mode again. Is this a time where you want to start building something else for yourself to be self-sustaining? Do you want to join a small startup? Do you want to just take time to take care of your family members or take time to travel? There's just endless things that you probably have put on hold because of your job that you now have the power to actually execute. So what are you going to do with that information? The reason why I put reprioritization last is because the first two things I think you should immediately do, because I'm going to keep using the same metaphor, you're planting the seeds right now. It's, short to medium to long-term things that will help you, but after you do that, after you kind of let it sit for a bit and the seeds start to, sprout a bit, that's when you really should think about, oh shoot, like what am I actually going to do next? But if you don't set yourself up for a success early, you're not going to have the time in your space in your heart and your brain to really reflect and think about like what it is that you want to do next. So that's why I put this third. In conclusion, take time to reflect and write down your key accomplishments and projects that you've worked on that you'll be able to later use in a recruitment process. Just take 30 minutes or an hour. Second, make sure you reconnect with the people in your community, build a strong network to plant the seeds for opening doors of opportunities when you need it. And last but not least, make sure you take the time to reprioritize what exactly you want to do next, because the world is your oyster. You are a free person. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly hope this was at least, you know, supportive or helpful to you if you have been through difficult times of a layoff like myself. This is part 3 of my layoff diaries, where I documented, you know, my true honest thoughts about the layoffs and how I'm moving forward. So if you feel so inclined to, you know, you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, as well as follow my channel for more content like this. Thank you so much. This was Sakura from Tokyo signing out, and thanks again. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.